Tell me what you're thinking.
Well, like, kind of like seeing how like there's triangles on the side and the big rectangle, and kind of just like finding the area from there.
Okay, so you want to find the area. Tell me why area makes sense.
Um, because we're like trying to find the area of like the curve, I guess, or like the area of like what's um like what's inside the graph.
Sure, tell me why that makes sense.
Um,
Like, I'm completely on board that we can do it. I just want to know why we would do it before we get too far.
it's showing the distance traveled within 10 hours of like a freight train.
Where do you see distance?
Well, the the Y shows like miles per hour. Oh, which is like the velocity, right? And then like the hours, like the time. So
Okay, so this is velocity.
yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
so keep going from there.
And then it's asking how far does a train travel in miles.
Okay.
So I guess it's just like finding like it, to me my mind says like for each 1 hour, like finding that area for that and then adding them together to get the total amount of miles traveled.
Does that make sense that the area means miles traveled?
Oh yeah, because it shows like the velocity versus like the hours.
So help me like teach it to me. Like so instead of looking to like kind of say the buzzwords that I'm expecting, like convince me as if I don't understand. Like why? Because like if I walked up to some of your classmates and I said we're gonna find area and area means distance, like they would look at me like I had two heads. So I want you to like walk me through the why. Why does why? Like area is distance. How come? Why does that make sense? Convince me.
Because area is like times width, so you'd multiply the
Area good. We could think of area as being length times width if we're thinking rectangles. Okay, sure.
so you multiply the velocity by the hour by hours.
Velocity times hours. And that would get us,
Distance.
there we go. That was very nice. I like that a lot. So good. Now I'm on board that if we find the area underneath the curve, that is going to give me units of distance, because even with this triangular region, right? Like let's take a look at this triangular region. The equation for that area would be what?
Half the base times height.
Good. 1/2 of the base times height. The base here is hours, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I've got 1/2 of 1 hour. Height is 40 what?
Miles per hour.
Miles per hour. And so if I multiply all this through, I will get what?
20.
20. So I get 20 what?
20 miles.
Miles, right? So now I'm starting to see, okay, so it's not just about rectangles, it's saying all of the area. Every single amount of area in here is going to give us some multiplication of hours by speed. And so that's going to give me distance. Like I've got a way of being able to determine distance based on the area under this curve. Oh, now I'm on board. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and start chunking this out. We already took care of this triangle. We could call that the first area if you wanted. So we could maybe start to give these some better labels. We'll call this area 1. Area 1 was 20 miles. So in the first hour, this thing traveled 20 miles, which again, I think makes a lot of sense, because if it had been traveling at 40 miles an hour, steady across, it would have traveled 40 miles. But this thing traveled half of that. It started much, much slower and only worked its way up to 40 at the end. So it's like it traveled half of that area, which is why it only traveled 20 miles. So now I've got a lot of consistency in the story. Good. So the first area is 20 miles. What do you want to do next?
Find the area of the big rectangle.
Good. Walk me through it.
So from like 1 to 9.
You want to go from 1 to 9? Okay, so then I'm looking for 1 to 9. Let me do some highlighting. So I'm going from 1 to 9.
So then it would just be area equals base times height. So
Area of what? I don't know what shape we're looking at.
of the rectangle.
Which rectangle?
The from 1 to 9 to the line that's straight across from 40.
You want to go up to 40? Okay, let's go all the way up to 40. So going up to 40 would be this region. Okay, good. So we'll call that area 2. We had area 1 and area 2. How big is this area 2?
So it would be, so you subtract 9 from 1, that would give you 8. Since
How come?
since like it's not exactly like at the start.
Okay, so we got a rectangle, right? This rectangle is length times width. You're telling me the length is 1 to 9, so that's a length of 8. What about the height or the width?
Uh, 40.
Up to 40. Okay, that would get us what?
320
320. 320 what?
miles.
Miles, because that's 8 hours times 40 miles per hour gives me 320 miles. Good, so I found area 2. Keep going.
And then there's another like triangle from 9 to 10. It's up to
Triangle from 9 to 10. So I go 9 to 10. Looks like it goes all the way up to 50, right?
Yeah.
So then we're looking at this. That's area 3. Okay, how big is area 3?
So it would be 1/2 times 1 to times 1 times 50.
Up to 50. Yep, 1/2 base times height. So I've got a base of 1. I've got a height of 50. That's going to get us
25 miles.
25 what?
Miles.
Miles. Great. Okay, what else?
And then that last there's like, well, you can do like a triangle and a rectangle at the top one, right?
Okay, walk me through where.
So like from 3 to 4 at 50.
3 to 4 up to 50. This one here.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll call that area 4. All right, talk to me about area 4. How big is this?
So that would be like 1/2 times 1 times 50.
This is a height of 50?
Yeah.
I don't think that's a height of 50. I thought this was a height of 50. That looks much bigger than the squiggle I drew for the triangle. How big is that triangle? What's the height there?
10.
10, right? Because it's not talking about up to 50. If it was talking up to 50, we'd need to make a triangle all the way back down again. This is saying that I've got a little extra above 40. How much above 40? 10 above 40. So that's counting about that little extra above. All right, that gets us what?
5 miles.
5 miles. Good. So that little extra speed, that little bump up in speed, got me an extra 5 miles across that hour. Good. What else?
And then that rectangle.
And then we got a rectangle. For there, it's like I was traveling 10 miles an hour above 40 miles an hour. So that extra 10 miles an hour across, how many hours would that be? It looks like 5. How big is that rectangle?
So it's from 4 to 9, so it's 5.
Good. Width of 5.
And then the height is 10 also.
So that little region accounts for how much?
50 miles.
50 miles. So in total, this entire travel took me 20 miles, 320 miles, 25 miles, 5 miles, and 50 miles because of the different changes in speed. So every time we change the speed and let that run for a while, we got a certain distance. We got a total distance if I talk about all those little adjustments we made. So my total distance would be what?
So you would add them up, right?
We'd add them all up. Yep. And that's where we get that idea of it's like the sum of a bunch of areas.
I got 420.
420. All right, there you have it. 420 miles worth of travel because there's 420 miles worth of interaction between speed and time.
Okay.
How do you feel on that?
Yeah, I see what I did wrong.
Okay, cool. Where was the error? Was it in kind of doing like the 50, like it went up to 50?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Versus just a little extra. Okay, good. That's all right. So big hint. Like this is like life hacks for students who want to do really well in any course. Don't forget to put your errors in your notes. That's one of the best decisions, like the best realizations I ever realized as a student is that if I started taking notes on my mistakes, that worked out really well when I got to the final. So that now I didn't just have a bunch of here's how I solve this. The internet can give me that. Books give me that. My teacher gave me that. Like I've got a bunch of how to do's, but in my notebook, then I had also like the, hey, Kevin, this is where you make mistakes. Don't do this on the final. And then it's like, oh, that's right. I do forget that. I should make sure that I don't forget to do that on the final. Those saved me more points almost than the how I should have tried to do it properly. Cool?
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Nice job.